They say you don't gotta go home, but you can't stay here. And no, I don't want.
This is CryptoTube. Welcome back to the channel. First and foremost, just want to say thank you for watching and also for tuning in at this difficult time whilst there is a pandemic outbreak. I hope everyone is doing well. Their friends, their family are all doing well, and no one is suffering any major health consequences because of this virus right now. A lot of us are in lockdown, self-isolation, whatever you want to call it, and are not able to go about our day-to-day business as normal. So this is having obviously a financial strain, mental, physical strain, all of those things. So it is a testing time, but we need those ray of lights, those reasons to keep on going, and one of those being Bitcoin, because this is kind of the perfect storm for Bitcoin to really set itself as the global world currency, or at least a reserve currency. So we're at a point where the major, or the Fed, the UK Bank of England are just pouring money at a problem, trying to prop up as many businesses as possible. Obviously, they need to do that. They can't see everyone just become unemployed overnight, but this is really creating that perfect storm for Bitcoin to absolutely take off over the next year or so. The coronavirus itself has been the trigger for this. The recession was always going to come, but the global supply chain being shut down with China literally locking people in their homes, no work going on over there. We just realized how reliant we are on China, and now we're at a state where all of the Western countries are catching up with this now. Italy, Spain have already been locked down. The UK has increasing measures pretty much on a daily basis now. We're not actually on lockdown right now here, but we have to work from home unless you are in an essential job role such as healthcare worker. And it's in a really weird position because a lot of us are isolated from each other. We can't really see friends and family, and it is a really, really strange one. But we're going to have a little look at the economy, what's been going on, and also our hopes for Bitcoin going forward. In terms of these figures, though, on the Johns Hopkins data science model here, these confirmed cases, deaths, recoveries. So in terms of these confirmed cases, from a UK perspective now, it says we've had 3,297. That figure probably 10, 100 times bigger. Who actually knows? Because here we cannot get tested. Unless you are going to hospital, you are not getting a test for the coronavirus. They haven't got the facility to do so. And I imagine most other countries are in the same position. So these actual current figures are just, actual hospitalizations. They're not the people who are with it and showing mild symptoms, those of us who are able to still get on with our day-to-day business whilst being ill. And so the numbers are probably a lot worse than this. There is a bit of a kind of a shining light within that, though, because the deaths will be recorded and hopefully these are accurate. So the confirmed cases will be a lot higher, but these figures may well be more accurate. So the total fatality percentage-wise, in terms of those who have contracted the disease, may be a lot lower than we think. Because at the moment, this is around 4% figure, something like that, which isn't great. And obviously, a lot of us are worried about elder relatives and things like this, and we do need to ensure that we keep our distance. So the impact of the virus and the global supply chain collapse was that the stock markets, and along with it Bitcoin, did take an absolute pasting around the 12th of March. And BTC to USD, I think we hit around down here about $3,800 at one stage, which is a crazy, crazy low price. And it's been good to watch over the last week how Bitcoin has been able to stabilize around the $5,000 level, and now in the last day has had a bit of a rally. Now, I don't expect this to really go any much higher than maybe where it was before the crash right now. I think we're going to see a lot of sideways movement, but if we can stabilize around 6,000, that will be a really good level of support to build. So I did manage to actually buy some more BTC with cash around this level here. It was after this big pump that we saw, and this was a fairly big pump at the time on the 15th of March. It went all the way up to around $5,900 and then started to come back down. And as it did come back down, I managed to buy around here, around $5,200. put in £1,000 British and got roughly 0.25 BTC. So I was very, very happy with that. Unfortunately, we are still mid-month. It was the 20th today, so a lot of us aren't going to be paid until the end of the month. Hopefully, this can not pump much more. I'm hoping the price will be around $5,000-6,000 at the end of the month. Then I can allocate some more cash into this. As look, if we just scroll out to a weekly chart and just forget what's happening right now, this is going to be a minor blip in the lifespan of Bitcoin. And for any of you who are in this for the long run, like me, I'm setting this up as my hedge against pensions, because I don't think I will have anything from the pensions that I actually pay in right now when I get to retire. I might not even get to retire. You've got to have a hedge against all of this, and Bitcoin is going to be that. But as you can see from a weekly chart, even with a sell-off with this coronavirus and all the major issues going on right now, Bitcoin will continue to go up in the future. It is inevitable. It's programmatically in there because of the halving events, because that supply shock, that stock to flow ratio. We're going to always see Bitcoin go up in price. So if you just take the long-term approach, this period right now is an opportunity to buy and to keep buying. We don't know how long, obviously, the virus is going to affect things and how long the markets are going to crash for, how long until we get a bit of some respite from this. All of those are just massively unknown. So anyone who's doing TA on this right now, they're guessing as well. So the best way to actually go about this is just to continue with your dollar cost average. Continue buying every single month. And when there's a moment like this with a dip, maybe buy a little bit more. And that's what I was able to do this month already. And I'll do so the same next month. But I do have a proportion of my wage. So when I get my cash every month, get my payment coming to my bank, I apportion a certain percentage of that money into Bitcoin every single month, no matter whether it's going up or down, having that DCA approach. And it is the best way, because if you're trading in a market like this right now, it is so volatile. People were super bearish. If I go back to the hourly chart, people were super bearish a couple of days ago. And you can, if you're on crypto Twitter, like, it's crazy how bipolar it all is. A few days of a sell-off and, the world's going to end. Bitcoin's going to $0 to $1,000. And then we have a rally, and now people are talking about it going up to 10K, how Bitcoin's going to hit all-time highs this year. Like, it is crazy. So the best way is to try and mute all that from your mindset and have a plan of being able to continue to buy Bitcoin going forward, as the financial happenings right now are all playing into its hands. So as we've seen, the Fed has done everything in its power already to try and stop the sell-off in the stock market and try and boost the American economy. So it says it's cut its key interest rate to virtually zero and launched a $700 billion quantitative easing program. And if you hear the words bailouts, quantitative easing, stimulus program, they all mean the same thing: more money being pumped into the economy. And just imagine you buy a Bitcoin right now and you expect there to be a maximum supply of 21 million. And then tomorrow someone comes along and goes, actually, we're going to increase the total supply of Bitcoin to 210 million. Well, that's what's happening with all currencies, fiat currencies around the world right now. It is crazy, the amount of money being poured in here, and it just means a devaluation of those currencies in the future. So your hedges such as gold, Bitcoin, you can bring silver into the bracket as well. Precious metals are decent plays. I believe there's a lot more upside with Bitcoin though. But these are where you should be looking to put your money, because keeping cash is a bad idea, as they are just literally devaluing it on a daily basis right now. And this is early on in this crisis. These measures have been made, a fortnight after Trump was actually denying that this was even a major thing. He was just saying it's just the flu. 2 weeks later, it's in lockdown across cities, across states in the US. Like, shit's hitting the fan big time right now. On the 15th of March, in its second emergency rate in less than 2 weeks, Borrowing level is now at similar levels to the 2008 global financial crisis, and it pledged to keep it there until it's confident the economy has weathered recent events. There's also talks of negative interest rates, that meaning it will actually cost you to hold your money in a bank. They will charge you to actually hold it in the bank to stimulate as much money into the economy to get us spending once more. And this is something that's been seen across not just the US, across Europe, across the UK and other countries, Australia. They're all following suit. And so there does seem to be a lot of panic and worry at this time. It's easier for me to comment on the UK as that's where I'm mainly obviously focusing my attentions. And the Bank of England have just cut their interest rate to the lowest level it's ever been. So in a second interest rate cut in just over 1 week, they've brought it down to 0.1% from 0.25, so a cut of 0.15%, lowest in the bank's 325-year history, which is a phenomenal thing. Money being pumped into UK government and corporate bonds to the tune of 200 billion. We've already had 300 billion pounds worth of concessions made by the Chancellor midweek this week. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday when he made those announcements. So they're doing everything they can to keep people going. There's talks of, if we just pop to the next article, there's talks of unprecedented plans of financial support to millions of Britons, workers hit by the coronavirus pandemic. The government is currently discussing the options of subsidising wages by freezing income tax and giving NI, which is national insurance, tax breaks. So on the one hand, they've been pumping money into businesses and trying to get people to spend their money, and now they're trying to reduce our actual costs when we actually get paid. So tax and NI taking at least 33 to 35% of anyone's wage in the UK for the lower tax band holders. And if you earn over around 55, 60,000 pounds, you are taxed at 40%. So if they remove those, people will have a lot more cash. And this should stimulate demand. But if this doesn't start the economy, I'm afraid we are kind of like out of ammunition, out of weapons that we can use to try and combat this situation right now. And this is early doors still. If this virus lingers for months and months and months, people not working, this is going to get worse. So the traditional finance sector is under a massive, massive strain right now. That cannot be understated at all. So this is the Exeter Pyramid, and it shows assets and their risk levels of default, and this was created by James Exeter, and this kind of shows you how people will move their money into the less risky assets as we have turbulent times. This guy was actually died in 2006, but this pyramid was created in like the 70s or 80s, and the lowest level of risk being gold. If we were to update this for 2020, you would add Bitcoin into here, and we're seeing the supply of money move through these assets. And if you just were to put a timestamp on these over the last couple of weeks, you can see how money moved into government bonds. Money is now moving into paper. So as in USD is pumping hard right now, and then it will move over into gold. We haven't seen this come yet. And of course, Bitcoin, and we're starting to see a bit of a pump with Bitcoin. From that 5,000 USD level, we hit $7,000 today. And so this is playing out quite nicely. If you want to get more information or understand what is happening with the world events right now, I'm sure a lot of you are at home, maybe bored and have some spare time. An hour and 15-minute conversation here between Raoul Pal and Nuggets News, Alex Saunders, really good YouTube channel. But check this video out and understand more about what is going on right now. It's a really, really interesting watch, and it's good to obviously educate yourself with what's happening around you. Also give him a follow, Raoul, on Twitter. Some great predictions in here, and he says he cannot stress or express how bullish he is on Bitcoin right now. We're at the risk of losing the entire system right now. I know they will find a way to save it, but all trust is now lost. Guys and girls, you'll be fine too. It's just that Bitcoin, guys and girls in gold, sorry, you'll be fine too, but just Bitcoin has a far bigger upside potential than gold right now. And he's pinned this tweet. He made this prediction back in May of last year to push the business cycle from merely soft to full recessionary. Usually takes one event beyond just rate increases. The shattering of global supply chains will likely prove to be the trigger, and the corporate credit market will be the ugly thing this down cycle is remembered for. So this is playing out right now. So definitely keep yourself educated by following some people smarter than me and understanding what is going on. And Da Vinci posted this on Twitter. I say put only $100 into Bitcoin now, and people still say no. Fun fact, $100 today in Bitcoin will put you at the top 10% category when Bitcoin is the world reserve asset. I have been telling people to buy Bitcoin for a long time. Friends and family are probably sick of me. We will continue to grow our Bitcoin holdings. I know if you're watching this, you're doing the same thing, mining Bitcoin, doing whatever you can to increase your holdings. We will be very wealthy in the future. And I mean, not just maybe 4-8 years from now, but when we go through, say, another 5 halving events, 20 years down the line, that stock to flow model is going to look very, very good for us. And we're going to see Bitcoin becoming a very valuable asset. So it is cheap relatively now, even though you think maybe, oh, $6,000 is quite a lot of money. In terms of where this is going, it is still cheap. And then the final thing I want you to watch, I'll leave a link down below here, is to understand how central banks cause booms and busts. These recessions are actually caused by the central banks with the effects they're doing now, pumping good money after bad into propping up companies, some of which are highly inefficient and should just die out. They're trying to save as many jobs as possible, chucking loads of money into things. They'll eventually be able to stimulate us out of a recession, and all we'll do is have another big slope upwards and another slope downwards, and we'll hit another recession. So this has taken us 12 years from the last one, 2008 to 2020. These cycles may well get a lot quicker as the numbers become exponentially bigger and bigger and bigger. It's going to take trillions and trillions of dollars now to get us out of this situation. Talk from UK government saying things like they will do whatever it takes to get the economy running again. Like, they're just going to be chucking the checkbook at it, adding more zeros onto those their government bank accounts, and pushing more money into the system. So that cash injection is going to cause a future boom and bust. It's just the way it goes. Now, this video has only got 13,000 views. It's a quick documentary, a mini documentary. Link down below. Really worth a watch if you are bored, sat at home right now. And any questions, any comments on these videos, hit me up down below. I am self-isolating right now, so the more conversation I can get rather than speaking to myself into a camera, the better. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. I'll be providing more updates quite regularly over the coming months as I am at home. And I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.